A friend of mine was just telling me about a comic who said everyone that's, for the most part, everyone that's really driven and they're doing things like they're the real movers and shakers, they usually have this story of some sort of trauma. And the comic was like, man, Dad, why'd you have to love me? Couldn't you have just punched me in the face from time to time? I think if Charlotte had not been in my life, being that person to challenge me and, you know, being the one that was out there living this crazy, amazing, eccentric life, my life wouldn't be the way it was, and I probably wouldn't think as complexly as I do now. It's been the contrast between the loving, nurturing feeling of going home with the crazy hustle and bustle of the city and the eccentric artists and personalities here, and the challenge that that creates. What's beautiful, what's real, what's fun, what's good. I think that's necessary in order to create a more well-rounded idea of life.
I'm from Avondale Estates, Georgia, where we met when we were kids. That's where I was born. That's where I grew up.
And I was born in the military academy upstate, West Point, but we traveled to a different military base every 2 months until I was, 4 or 5, and then my dad retired in Georgia, where I met her at the neighborhood lake. I got discovered to be a model when I was 12, actually, which was way too young, and I actually had to lie about my age, so I was saying I was 14 when I was 12, and saying I was 15 when I was 13, and that went on for a while, until it started getting me in trouble. I really appreciate my parents for giving me that opportunity and that freedom at such a young age. It's kind of remarkable. I was always trying to devise ways to capture animals. I had so many pets as a kid. I was raising birds in shoeboxes, and she was my partner in crime. We would get our allowance every week.
Like $7 or $8 a week.
We would ride our bikes to Salvation Army and buy these really cheap nightgowns.
Yeah.
But we would dress up in these old nightgowns and pretend they were like fairy princess dresses. For me, it's all about juxtaposition. I don't like pants because I actually find they're less tomboyish because I can like rape and pillage and move around faster in a dress. You know what I mean? It's like if I want to pee on the side of the road, which I do all the time, like it's gonna take way longer if I'm in pants. I just like the sort of the clownness of it. It makes me feel like a clown a little bit. It's got a sunglass print. So this is from the 1800s. I love Victorian clothes. I love the way they dressed back then. It's so cool. If a Victorian person saw someone in a pair of sweatpants and Crocs, like I just wonder what they would say. I admire those cultures because they weren't lazy. They weren't about what's fast and easy. So I drew these on a piece of paper and had a shoe cobbler make them in Venice. This hat's from Ritual as well. This is a very old hat. It came in a collection of like 3 other little hats like this.
I definitely love things that are really creative and kind of weird but beautiful at the same time.
I've always wanted pretty, lyrical, feminine dresses and things that were flowy, and it might come from being a Southern belle.
This is a dress I found in Tampa quite a while ago, and then I found these shoes from DSW in Atlanta, Georgia. The choker is from Jennifer Feynman.
I think always having something from nature on you is very important. So I always like to have one thing that's very animalistic on me. It's cat bones. This is from the Mountain Men Festival, where they make a lot of. I got a chicken claw necklace from them as well. When I went to Papua New Guinea, I got a necklace that had a baby alligator skull on it, and the rest were its claws and teeth.
It's beautiful, and I want it to be beautiful. I want it to be very tangible and real, but I also want it to have this subtle dark edge to it in a way that you don't really notice, you don't distinctly see it, but you feel it from the painting. My biggest challenge was a major realization for myself. I'd spent years building up this idea and trying to find this certainty in my life. I felt like I couldn't see myself at the time, and I was striving for something that I thought was great and beautiful and noble, and in the meantime I was becoming this monster person. And then one day I was thinking about so many things. When you have this chatterbox that's always going on in your mind, a lot of it had to do with deriving validation externally, and I had let so much of my willpower get away from me. I think that, a combination of the revelations that I've had to go through as a person the past 2.5 years, I'd say, has been the biggest challenge in my life.
Eden was always very adult and mature. I was sort of the wild child. We live in a world of talk and very little action, and just so much white noise. I mean, everyone has a band, everyone's a filmmaker. But, once you sift through all the white noise, there's a few people that are really doing something interesting, and I think it would actually frankly be cooler and more relevant and way more edgy to just become a farmer in today's world, because I think that's almost more important than art, We like melancholy.
We like melancholy. We like something that's very beautiful.
I like listening to music that makes me feel nostalgia for something that didn't even necessarily happen. A lot of the songs on our EP actually come from when we were around the ages of 14 and 15. I think when we were 13 we wrote our first song together that was meant to seduce a boy that she had a crush on, and it was like a really ridiculous love song. So we never actually imagined that we would be doing this in our adulthood, much less the same songs. So it's kind of interesting to see those, to have closure on those childhood ideas and dreams.